Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Cup English. I'm Liam, and as always, I'm here with Chloe. How are you doing today, Chloe?
Hi, Liam. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great, thanks. I'm really happy to be here again. It feels good to sit down, relax, and just talk.
Yeah, same here. And if this is your first time listening to our podcast, welcome. We're really glad you're here.
Absolutely. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow Daily Cup English so you don't miss our daily podcast episodes.
We post new conversations every day to help you improve your English in a natural way through real-life topics and honest discussions.
And today's topic is something many of us struggle with, maybe more than we want to admit.
That's right. Today, we're talking about stop caring what people think.
Just hearing that title already makes some people uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah, because caring about what others think is such a big part of our daily lives. We care at work, we care with friends, and we definitely care online.
So in this episode, we're not here to tell you to ignore everyone or stop listening to feedback completely.
Instead, we want to talk honestly about why we care so much, how it affects us, and how we can slowly learn to let go of that pressure.
This is just a conversation, like two friends sharing thoughts and experiences.
Exactly. So grab your coffee, relax, and let's get into today's topic.
Liam, let me start with a simple question. Why do you think we care so much about what other people think about us?
That's a great question. I think one big reason is that humans are social beings. We want to belong, we want to be accepted.
Yeah, I agree. From a young age, we learn that being liked is important.
Exactly. At school, we want teachers to like us, we want friends to accept us, and later, at work, we want our boss and coworkers to think well of us.
And if someone doesn't like us, it can feel like something is wrong with us.
Right. We often connect other people's opinions with our self-worth.
Another reason, I think, is fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being different, fear of making mistakes.
That fear can be very powerful. Sometimes it stops us from speaking up or being ourselves.
I've noticed that many people don't say what they really think, not because they don't have ideas, but because they're afraid of how others will react.
Same here. And social media makes this even worse.
Definitely. Every post, every photo, every comment feels like it's open to judgment.
We start checking how many likes we get, how many people agree with us, or if someone leaves a negative comment.
And even when no one says anything bad, we still imagine what people might be thinking.
Yeah, we create stories in our heads that may not even be true.
Another thing is comparison. We compare our lives, our looks, and our success with others,
And usually we compare our real life to someone else's highlight reel.
which is never fair.
Exactly. But when we keep doing that, we care more and more about how we appear to others instead of how we actually feel.
So, caring about what people think isn't a personal weakness. It's something many of us are taught and influenced by every day.
The problem starts when that caring controls our decisions and our happiness.
And that's what we're going to talk about next, how this habit affects our lives and what it feels like to live under that pressure.
You know, Chloe, when we talk about caring too much, I can't help thinking about my own experience. There was a time when I really let other people's opinions control me.
I feel the same way. I think most people have been there at least once. What was it like for you?
Honestly, it was exhausting. I was always thinking before I spoke. Even simple things like sharing an idea at work felt stressful.
Because you were afraid of how people would react?
Exactly. I would ask myself, what if they think my idea is stupid? Or what if they don't agree with me? Sometimes I already knew what I wanted to say, but I stayed quiet.
That sounds very familiar. I've done that so many times.
And the funny thing is, people probably weren't even thinking about me that much, but in my head, it felt like everyone was watching and judging.
I totally get that. For me, it showed up more in my personal relationships.
How so?
I was always trying to make everyone comfortable and happy. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I agreed even when I had a different opinion.
So you were putting other people's feelings before your own.
Exactly. I thought that if people liked me, everything would be fine. But over time, I started feeling tired and frustrated.
That makes sense. When you ignore your own needs for too long, it adds up.
Yeah, and I noticed something else too. The more I tried to please everyone, the more I lost touch with myself.
That's a really important point. I felt that too. I started changing small parts of myself, my opinions, my behavior, just to fit in.
Did it work?
Not really. Some people still didn't like me, and that was a big wake-up call.
That's such a hard lesson, but also an honest one.
Yeah, I realized that no matter how careful you are, someone will always have a negative opinion.
For me, the worst part was overthinking. After a conversation, I would replay everything in my head.
Same here, thinking about what I said, what I shouldn't have said, and how I might look in their eyes.
It's like your mind never gets a break.
And that affects your confidence. You start doubting yourself even in situations where you shouldn't.
I remember feeling anxious before social events, not because I didn't want to go, but because I was worried about how I would be seen.
That constant pressure is heavy. It can turn simple moments into stressful ones.
Exactly. And the sad part is, while we're busy worrying about what others think, we miss the chance to enjoy the moment.
Looking back, I wish I had understood earlier that caring too much was hurting me more than helping me.
Me too. But at the same time, I think going through that phase helped me understand myself better.
Yeah, it taught me that confidence doesn't come from approval, it comes from being honest with who you are.
And realizing that it's okay if not everyone understands or agrees with you.
Exactly. And that realization slowly changed how I see other people's opinions.
Which brings us to an interesting question. Should we stop caring completely, or is there a healthy balance?
That's a great question, and I think that's where things get really interesting.
So, Liam, here's the big question. Do you think we should completely stop caring about what people think?
Honestly, no, I don't think it's that simple. I don't believe the goal is to stop caring at all.
I'm glad you said that, because I feel the same way. Sometimes when people hear stop caring, they think it means being rude or selfish.
Exactly, like you just ignore everyone and do whatever you want, no matter how it affects others.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Not at all. I think the real problem is caring too much, especially about the wrong people or the wrong opinions.
Yeah, for example, feedback from someone you trust or respect can be helpful.
Right. If your close friend gives you honest advice, it's worth listening to.
But random opinions from strangers who don't really know you?
Those are the ones we often give too much power to.
I've noticed that sometimes we care more about strangers' opinions than about our own feelings.
That's so true. We might feel unhappy or uncomfortable, but still do something just because we're afraid of being judged.
So maybe the question isn't should I care or not, but who should I care about?
Exactly. That's a much healthier way to look at it.
For me, learning this took time. I used to think every opinion mattered the same.
Same here. I didn't know how to separate useful feedback from simple judgment.
And judgment often says more about the other person than about you.
That's an important point. People judge based on their own experiences, fears, and beliefs.
Which means their opinion isn't always the truth.
Right, but when we're not confident, we treat every opinion like a fact.
I like that idea of balance, being open to learning but not letting opinions control your life.
Me too. Caring in a healthy way means listening, reflecting, and then deciding what feels right for you.
Not reacting immediately and not taking everything personally.
Exactly, and that's something many of us need to practice every day.
Because, let's be honest, it's easy to say don't care, but it's much harder to actually do it.
Especially in a world where everyone seems to have an opinion about everything.
So the line is somewhere in the middle, not too closed, not too open.
And learning where that line is might be different for each person.
But once you start finding it, life feels a little lighter.
Yeah, and you start making choices based more on who you are, not on how you're seen.
Which is a great place to be.
Absolutely. And speaking of being seen, I think this balance becomes even harder with social media.
Oh, yes, that's a whole different level of pressure.
And I think that's exactly what we should talk about next.
You're right, Miam. Social media really changes the way we think about other people's opinions.
Yeah. I feel like before social media, judgment still existed, but it wasn't this constant.
Exactly. Now it's everywhere. You post something and within seconds, people can react.
Likes, comments, shares, all of them feel like a public score.
And even when people don't say anything, the silence can feel loud.
That's so true. Sometimes you post something and keep checking your phone, wondering why no one has reacted yet.
And then you start questioning yourself. Was it boring? Did I say something wrong?
Or worse, do people not like me anymore?
It sounds dramatic, but I think many people secretly feel this way.
I agree. Social media turns opinions into numbers, and numbers are hard to ignore.
And the problem is, we start connecting those numbers to our value as a person.
Which is really unhealthy. A post with fewer likes doesn't mean you matter less.
But emotionally, it can feel that way.
Another thing is comparison. You scroll through your feed and see people traveling, succeeding, looking happy all the time.
And you forget that you're only seeing one side of their lives.
Yeah, no one posts their bad days, their doubts, or their failures.
So we compare our real messy lives with someone else's best moments.
And that makes us care even more about how we look online.
I've noticed that sometimes people don't even enjoy the moment anymore. They're too busy thinking about how it will look on social media.
That's such a good point. Instead of living, we're performing.
And when you perform, you always worry about the audience.
Which brings us back to caring too much about what people think.
I've tried taking breaks from social media, and honestly, it helped.
Same here. Even short breaks made me feel calmer and more focused.
It reminds you that real life is happening right in front of you, not on a screen.
And that most people are actually busy thinking about themselves, not judging you.
That realization alone can be very freeing.
Yeah, social media can be fun and useful, but only if we don't let it control our self-worth.
And learning that takes awareness and practice.
Which leads to the next question. If we know all this, how do we actually start letting go?
Yeah, knowing the problem is one thing, but changing our habits is another.
Exactly, and that's where real growth begins.
So, Liam, we've talked a lot about the problem, but how do we actually start letting go?
I think the first step is realizing that we can't control what people think.
Yeah, no matter how kind, smart, or careful you are, someone will still have an opinion.
Once I accepted that, I felt a bit lighter. I stopped trying to manage everyone's reactions.
For me, it started with asking myself a simple question. Does this opinion really matter in my life?
That's a powerful question. Most of the time, the answer is no.
Exactly. We give too much importance to opinions that won't affect us in the long run.
Another thing that helped me was focusing on my values instead of approval.
What do you mean by that?
I started asking, am I acting in a way that feels right to me, instead of, do people like this?
I love that. It shifts the focus back to yourself in a healthy way.
It also helped me accept discomfort. Being judged doesn't feel good, but it won't destroy you.
That's true. We often avoid judgment at all costs, but maybe we don't need to.
Exactly. Sometimes being uncomfortable means you're growing.
For me, learning to say no was a big part of letting go.
That's a hard one.
It is. At first, I felt guilty. I worried people would think I was selfish.
And what happened?
Some people were surprised, but most of them accepted it. And the ones who didn't, that told me something important.
That maybe they cared more about what you gave than who you are.
Exactly. And that realization was painful, but also freeing.
Another thing is self-talk. We're often much harder on ourselves than others are.
Yes, we judge ourselves before anyone else does.
Changing the way you talk to yourself can change how much power other people's opinions have.
Instead of saying, they must think I'm bad, you can say, I did my best.
And remind yourself that mistakes don't define you.
Letting go isn't about becoming careless, it's about becoming confident.
And confident people still listen, they just don't let opinions control them.
It's a slow process, but every small step counts.
Yeah, and the more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Which is encouraging because it means change is possible.
Definitely. And once you start letting go, you'll notice how much energy you get back.
Energy you can use to actually live your life.
Exactly. And that really shows in everyday situations.
Like speaking up, making choices, or following your own path.
And I think that's a great direction for our next part.
You're right, Liam. This really shows up in everyday situations, not just big life decisions.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's the small moments that are the hardest.
Like speaking up in a meeting.
Yes, you might have a good idea, but you hesitate because you're worried about how it will sound.
Or what your coworkers might think of you.
Exactly. And if you stay silent, you leave the meeting feeling frustrated with yourself.
Another common situation is choosing a different lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. Not following the normal path can invite a lot of opinions.
People might question your choices, even if you're happy with them.
And sometimes those questions feel more like judgment than curiosity.
I've also seen this with personal interests. People stop doing things they enjoy because they're afraid of being laughed at.
That's really sad. Life gets smaller when we limit ourselves like that.
And the truth is, most people are too busy with their own lives to care that much.
Exactly. We often imagine a spotlight that isn't really there.
Another big one is sharing your true opinions, especially when they're different.
Yeah, it takes courage to say, I see it differently, without apologizing.
But when you do, you feel more honest and more confident.
Even if not everyone agrees.
And that's okay.
I think this is a good moment to clear something up.
You mean what stop caring what people think actually means?
Exactly. It doesn't mean becoming cold or insensitive.
It means choosing yourself without disrespecting others.
It means understanding that your worth doesn't depend on approval.
And that the right people will respect you for being real, not perfect.
When you stop trying to please everyone, you make space for the people who truly accept you.
That's such an important point. Not everyone needs to like you.
And not everyone will.
But the people who matter will stay.
And you'll feel more peaceful because you're not living for an audience anymore.
You're living for yourself.
And that doesn't make you selfish, it makes you honest.
Learning to let go really means learning to trust yourself.
And giving yourself permission to be human.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Daily Cup English.
We really appreciate you spending your time with us and being part of this conversation.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow Daily Cup English.
We share new podcast episodes every day with real-life topics to help you improve your English naturally.
And we hope today's conversation helped you feel a little lighter and more confident.
Remember, you don't need everyone's approval to live a good life.
Just be honest with yourself and take it one step at a time.
Thanks again for listening.
We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.